What's one unexpected way to divorce-proof your marriage? I'll give you a hint. It's your sex life. And we're going to talk about it today here on the Road to Happiness podcast. We're your hosts, Josh and Cassie Spurlock, and we want to thank our sponsor, My Counselor Online. My Counselor Online is a leading provider in faith-based Christian counseling online, and we're going to talk in our podcast today all about what sex has to do with divorce-proofing your marriage and how that applies, what you can do about it, strategies, etc.
So if you're new around here, I'm Josh Spurlock. I'm a certified sex therapist, done thousands of hours of sex therapy, and we have distilled the learning from those thousands of hours into the new book that we put out, Feeling Sexy. And we are in a series on the Road to Happiness podcast of talking through the different chapters of what you'll find in this book. And chapter 8 is about divorce-proofing your marriage. And this is, a bit of a controversial chapter that some people are going to find themselves a little offended and sometimes a little scared because of this idea that our sex life is a barometer on the health of our marriage. But I can tell you as a sex therapist and as a marriage therapist that it is exceedingly rare for couples that truly have a healthy sex life to get divorced.
Yeah, because, spoiler, your sex life is just one example of your overall maturity and your overall relationship, your communication, your intentionality, your feelings of connection and safety. And when you have those things and they're all blossoming beautiful, you're enjoying your time together, you're not looking elsewhere. You're not dissatisfied. You're enjoying what you have.
So the caveats of what Cassie is saying, and I think most marriage therapists, sex therapists, other professionals that work in this space, when they understand the context of what it is that I'm saying, are really in full agreement. Because what we need to understand is what I'm not saying, what we're not saying. What we're not saying is that frequency is, how many times a week you have sex is an indicator of the health of your marriage. That people can have lots of sex every week and have a very unhealthy sex life and a very unhealthy marriage. We're not talking about how frequently you connect. Does frequency relate to health in a sex life? Depends to some degree. That if you're never connecting sexually, that's probably a bad indicator. Connecting, is there a magic number of how many times you should connect in order to have a healthy? There's no magic number. And it varies season to season, couple to couple situations. So we're not saying that you can measure the health of your marriage or your sex life based on frequency. So we're not saying that. We're not saying that you can't have passionate sexual experiences, that's the measure of a healthy sex life. That you can have passionate sexual experiences in sexual affairs. You can have passionate sexual experiences in very unhealthy abusive relationships where sex is the only way we know how to connect. And so we connect sexually very passionately in very unhealthy ways to try to make up for what's broken in the rest of our relationship. You can have trauma-driven sexual engagement where there's frequency. There's all sorts of unhealthy sex that's reflective of unhealthy relationships that are not going to cause your marriage to be divorce-proof. And so I just want to address all of that.
Yeah. Just get that out there on the front end.
That's on the front end. That's kind of the fine print,
yes,
as it were. But it's not actually the fine print. I want to make it the bold print at the top because I don't want to be misunderstood around this. That this is not intended to create shame for you or to somehow create a misconception that if we're connecting frequently, that things are great and healthy, because that's not what we're communicating. What we're saying is that truly healthy sex lives, really robust, healthy sex lives, are a reflection of a really healthy relationship. And if we have problems and difficulties in our sex life, that's also a reflection of some difficulties that exist within the relationship, that those things are related to each other. And so, in order to have a really healthy sex life, you also have to have a really healthy marriage. And so, you have to do the work in the marriage in order to have the healthy sex life. And the fruit of the really healthy marriage shows up in the sex life. You think about the coal miner's canary. You know that? The little birds they stick down in coal mines, their toxic gases, the birds died. If your sex life is dead, this is a bad sign for your marriage. It's not long before the marriage dies. Now, you may stay legally married, and there are lots of people whose marriage is dead that are still legally married.
But that's not our goal here.
It's really not Jesus's idea of an
God's
abundant life in marriage. Yeah. And so, we're not setting the idea of don't get divorced. That's the sign of a healthy marriage. We want for you to actually have a really fun, dynamic marriage that reflects the kind of relationship that Christ wants to have with the church, that marriage is designed to reveal about the heart of God, that includes a passionate sex life that's really fun and mutually enjoyable for both of you. So it's a little challenging, right? There's people listening to this, and if you're one of them right now, where it's like, ooh, that's a hard word. My sex life is not what I would call stellar. And it's a little scary, maybe, about what that might mean about my sex life or about my marriage as a whole. My heart is not to scare you. And it's definitely not to do what the enemy would like to do and shame you around that. But instead, we do want to challenge you.
We want to let you know that there's hope. We want to say, here's a warning. Here's wisdom. Let us put this in front of you so that you have the ability to do something about it.
Yeah, and to cast a vision that says God wants more for you and your spouse. That God wants for you to have a really vibrant and fun sex life. It matters to Him. That sex is a gift from Him, and it's a part of a really healthy marital relationship. And so if things are not good, if you don't enjoy sex, if you don't look forward to connecting sexually with your spouse, if it feels like a duty or an obligation instead of something that's delightful for you, something's not right. That something is wounded, something is missing, something is immature, something isn't working the way that it's supposed to. And that's okay, because God has made a pathway for whatever's wounded to be healed and for whatever gap exists to be filled, so that you together can mature into the true happiness that God has for you in every area of your life, including your sex life. We're not pointing any fingers. It's not this. Nobody's saying you're to blame here. Your spouse has a role to play in this. It takes two to tango, as they say. But so does your story. The experiences of life that you have had that have shaped you, whether it's experiences that you have that have left you wounded, or experiences that you needed that you didn't have that left gaps. There's a reason why you're having the difficulties that you're having. Like it didn't just come out of the blue.
And the good news is you can do something about it. And you're listening to this podcast right now because God sees you
Yeah.
and He wants to give you hope and wants to share with you, hey, this is the time. This is the time for something new. I'm going to do a good work.
It's actually one of the really fun things and oftentimes surprising things for folks when they come to sex therapy. They come to sex therapy because something's not working in their sex life the way that they want it to work. And when we get curious about what's not working in their sex life, oftentimes we find aspects around their marital life that are getting in the way of them having the sex life that they want to have. And as we troubleshoot those things and we find some healing, find some growth, not only does their sex life improve and we lay the foundation for achieving the goals that they have, but their whole marriage improves.
And
their
every
whole
other
family.
relationship in their
Right.
life.
Yeah, and
Because
so there's a ton of
healing
fruit.
just branches out into all of our lived experiences.
Yeah, there's a ton of fruit and benefit that happens. So when we talk about divorce proofing your marriage in a sex book, what we're talking about is as you do the work that lays the foundation for you to have a really healthy sex life, it also provides for you a very strong and healthy marriage that puts you in a really strong place to weather the difficulties that life throws at you and to have that bring you closer together and have a stronger marriage rather than one that is vulnerable. And we do want to raise a flag. We do want to say, if your sex life is not in a good place, you should be concerned about that. Like, don't stick your head in the sand.
Yes, God gave sex within marriage for the joy of marriage, for His purposes, for intimacy in marriage. Like, it's the only relationship in your life that's a dynamic, and we should take that as the significant piece that it is.
Yeah, and allow it to be an opportunity for your whole marriage and your whole life to be improved. Like, there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
I think having a conversation with your spouse that says, hey, I'd really like to improve our sex life. There's a, that could be received.
I know. I was just thinking of how that would be received as you were saying it. I was like, that's a hard pill to swallow.
But it's a package deal that improving our sex life also means improving our marriage. Again, we're not just talking about frequency. When I say improving our sex life, I'm not talking about just increasing the number of times that we're having sex. That is not the measure of a healthy sex life.
And let me just soapbox for a hot little second here. There has been so much advice given to Christian wives, just have more sex. Just, if that's what is desired of you, just shut up and do it, and that will fix things. That's just not true. It's not true, and it's destructive.
100%. Not true, very destructive, not the heart of God, not what we want for you to do or engage. And, this is one of those soapboxes that will, you want to see me get
I know,
angry.
right? Get
This makes
angry.
me angry.
Yes, because it's so violating to God's daughters.
It's so violating to the heart of God. And for the scriptures to be used in order to guilt wives into having more sex with their spouse and believing that somehow that's the heart of God and somehow
or that's
the
holiness
answer, or that's holiness. Like, let me emphatically say that is not the heart of God. And it is abuse to the scriptures to use them to guilt trip or shame you into having sex. Like, that's wrong. It's not biblical. It's angering to the heart of God. It's a misrepresentation of the scriptures that guilting, pressuring, demanding sex is not reflective of the heart of God. It's not as designed for sex. And so that should not be a part and is not a part of any healthy sex life. So if that's a part of your story, then I would urge you to get some help. Get some people that can come alongside you and help you have a clear view of what a healthy sex life looks like, and to support you in advocating for that, for yourself and for your marriage, so that you can advocate for what it is that is healthy that God wants for you. Okay? And if there's this dynamic of pressure and guilt and demand shows up in other areas of the marriage also, I always recommend Leslie Vernick's book, The Emotionally Destructive Marriage, because it is a super helpful resource for identifying emotionally abusive dynamics within a relationship context that, sometimes have been perpetuated for generations.
For sure.
Like I'm upset with a lot of men who inherited really bad theology and really bad practice around marriage and around sex from their parents, from their grandparents, from the communities that they were a part of, in a way that shows up in their marriage. It's part of their wounds and their gaps where they need to heal and mature and grow in order for them to have a healthy marriage and to have a healthy sex life. So, sometimes that's unexpected, as husbands will come to sex therapy and they are anticipating that a Christian sex therapist is going to pull out the Bible and tell their wives to have more sex with them. And what they get instead is a picture of the heart of God and how upsetting it is to the heart of God that they would not be attuned to and care for their wives' experience and instead be selfish in seeking their own good at the expense of their spouse in a way that wrecks their sex life and wrecks their marriage and grieves the heart of God.
It's just foolish because it's not truly their own good. Like in that moment, it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
But in maturity, in life satisfaction, in their safety with their spouse, in every way, it's actually not for their own good.
It's totally not. Because it just is unfulfilling. It's not what it is that God designed. Like the duty sex isn't satisfying to any man. And any man that pursues duty sex doesn't have a vision and understanding for what really good sex is and what it can be. And that's just gaps in their own knowledge.
Right. No shame.
No, I can always trace that back to the teaching that they received and the experiences that they had or didn't have around sex. Like we can always trace back and understand the story of that kind of immaturity.
And then we can meet them in that space and give them a vision and fill those gaps and help them heal those wounds.
Yes. So there's hope. There's hope all the way around. If your sex life isn't great, there's hope. If your spouse shows up selfishly or in a way that produces pressure or a sense of demand or a sense of obligation, or there's this tension and anger around sex, and it feels like it's something that we keep the peace around by giving into or giving sex or that sort of thing, there's hope for that too. And it doesn't mean that your spouse is evil or bad. It means that there's some real immaturity there that needs to heal and grow in order for you to have. And there's this, I love it when a couple comes in and they have all this kind of brokenness. And, maybe the husband, he's there because he thinks, oh, this is going to help us have more sex. And it will.
Right. It will, actually, but not the route that you
what you get is so much more than just more sex. What we get is healing and transformation in a marriage that's super rich and healthy. On that foundation is a sex life that's very mutual and fun for both. And that is the heart of God. That's what he wants for you. So, can you divorce-proof your marriage with a healthy sex life? You bet. Is your sex life a barometer for the healthy marriage? Yes, I think so. And you can use that information to find healing and growth and maturity in ways that bring the two of you together and make sex exactly what God designed it to be for you. That's what we want for you. That's what we're cheering you on for. That's what we wrote this book for, to help encourage you in those ways, to show the way, point the direction to those things. And that's why we're here doing this podcast, because we want to cheer you on to that end. Thanks for hanging out, spending some time with us. Hope that you have learned some things and heard some things that encourage you, that challenge you, and cheer you on as you mature into true happiness. We'll see you back here soon.